Did you know remembrance is so powerful it can heal the body, even shift time? It has been 30 years since we stood at the gateway of India, a place where our love and spirituality blossomed. Swept by memories, we ask a question that many humans ask: what has happened to it all? Where has it all gone? And God says nothing is ever forgotten. Everything is remembered with crystal clarity. What you remember and more. For every cell's memory is part of my knowing. You are in conversation with Tarun and Celia Cherian, co-founders, Creator's Child and Devadara Healing. Time and God are also part of this conversation. And this is the first treasure we pick up: the fact that nothing is ever forgotten. And that is profound enough. But God gives us an even deeper. We are now being introduced to the many levels of remembrance. And God says we humans have principally three kinds of remembrance. Let's talk about level one remembering and its powers. The first we're all familiar with: remembering. And if you look at the aura, what it does, it principally stimulates the head chakras and the back of the head chakra in particular. If you look at the aura effect of remembrance even deeper, it does more than just touch the head, which we expect, but it also shifts both thoughts and changes the motivations at the abdomen chakras. Even the basic remembering we're all familiar with both shifts thoughts, births new ideas, but can also shift our motivations and impulses. The simplest way to use the power of remembering is to keep a diary, recall events periodically. And here is a psychic tip. Since remembrance is so powerful, we can find ways to intensify it, to make it much stronger, much deeper. And in this case, we can use the cycles of the moon. Now, there are two moon cycles which are very good for remembrance. One is at the dark phase of the moon, but that can be more disturbing to some. And the other is when the moon is just reaching its fullness. So all that you do is you take the memories for about a few months and just allow yourself to look at it, study it, see it from your eyes, see it from the eyes of others. And as we do that, the memories stop just becoming passive. They start interconnecting brilliantly, and because of a particular nadi coming alight, these sort of intermesh and much greater connections become visible. It is time to up the level of remembering. As we start remembering with greater depth, then remembrance starts becoming even more. The very aura starts shifting even greater. And we start going from just remembrance to reliving it, reliving the memory. And when that happens, the body starts getting involved. And it starts reacting differently. Why, you may ask? Well, because when we start reliving it with such intensity, then the memory is no longer just the one that happened. It takes on a different hue. Reliving changes the aura even more than remembering. It changes not just the motivations, but even the way our DNA triggers change. Our body physiology, too, shifts and changes, sometimes dramatically. Leveraging reliving, using techniques like healing the past, we can change body physiology. We can even change the way our genes express themselves. As we relive events with greater and greater intensity, there comes a time when a very few of us can be catapulted to an even deeper state, one that the divine calls re-being, re-becoming. And in this, what happens? The energies that we generate, the ferocity of our being, the cold intensity of what we are experiencing, can push us to such an extent that key centers in our aura start opening up. And they can open to such an extent that they reactivate our links with time. So we are no longer just linking with one time, but we may be reaching back to an earlier time. Each of these aura centers helps govern the way we see the world and which world we are linked to, which time we are placed in. If we manage to activate this state of re-being, then the very boundaries of our world start shifting. In re-being, the past is no longer past, but a present that lies behind us, and it can move differently from where we went earlier. We can literally go back in time and start creating new futures and new pasts too. Re-being essentially uses the fact that we don't exist at just one level, but that if we can change the intensity of our being, we can operate at many higher levels, and which means that we can change the very flow of our lives. Yes, and I know that many here will be thinking that re-being is just reliving something, and that it's a game. Imagine walking through a street, only that you're both in a medieval street and a street of the future. That is the kind of challenges that those who manage re-being will have to confront. It is no game. For the consequences to yourself and others is incredible. Suddenly you may not be in the lives of many you love. Whole fragments of memory which you had, which you learned, may just vanish. If we cannot manage the forces that govern time, the consequences can be, well, one of the greatest dangers that anyone, no matter how experienced, faces when they reach a state of re-being is that we may get caught up in causal loops. So we're knowingly and unknowingly going round and round and round in circles, in a maze, in a chakravyu. We would now like to present you with a little help if you're one of those caught in endless loops of time. Now, we had given you a mudra a little while earlier in how to clear our minds from the causal loops. Now we're going to be modifying the mudra a little and adding a new element. So watch. In this technique, what you do, as we taught you, you take your left hand out like this and keep moving it out like this with an explosive gesture. Then you take your right hand pointing at your head and you do both simultaneously. As we said, you can use words like clear, new, or restore, again, joy, restore, again, joy. It is time now to gather the many treasures that we have got in this video, starting with nothing is forgotten, that remembrance can heal, that reliving can change one's body, that with re-being you can actually seize incredible freedoms. There can be dangers in re-being. The mudra we shared can be deeply useful to seekers, serious seekers. Thank you for subscribing to our channel, visiting creativechild.com, and growing with God.